All right, hey now, my little trilobites. How are you doing today? Good. You ready for another day of class? Of course, today's a weird day. We have assembly during the day, and some of you, we've seen this before the assembly, some after. Looking forward to, though, having some art and culture here in the building. And of course, every day is culturally significant when you do the Bellringer.
All right.
Hey now.
Mr. Kovacs class. It's Mr. Kovacs class. You might learn a ton. It's Mr. Kovacs class.
He's interested too.
It's Mr. Kovacs class. And he's super cool. It's Mr. Kovacs class.
Trilobites. I've recently become a big fan of trilobites. They're pretty cool. They're arthropods, which means they share a common ancestor with other arthropods like crustaceans and insects, and spiders and scorpions and those kinds of things. However, what I really find fascinating about them is that they were a very successful group of arthropods for 250 million years. There were over 20,000 species of trilobite. Now, none. They all went extinct. And of course, that's our theme now is like, what causes these guys to go extinct? And hopefully by now you're getting the feeling it's like changes in the environment cause changes in species, right? And one of the changes that happens is species aren't adapted to it, and therefore their kind dies out, right? That's one way. Or the other way would be some of the members of a species have mutations that allow them to be adapted for it. And then those mutations are what's going to carry on in future generations, right? Yeah. The trilobites. You know the trilobites lived in what we call the Paleozoic era, right? From about 550 million years ago to 250 million years ago. So, yeah, in that time period. How do we know? They left behind evidence. They left behind physical evidence in the form of fossils. Right? And the fossils are distinct enough that we can identify some trilobites as being different species than other trilobites. And through the fossil record, we can kind of follow the history of trilobites from when they started to when they're ended back at the end of the Permian period, this gigantic extinction that happened in the Permian-Triassic junction, right? So that's trilobites, fossils. All right, so you know by now, hopefully to be a fossil, one of the things that has to happen is you've got to like die in the most unlucky, I guess if you're dying, it's not very lucky, but you've got to die in such a way that like you immediately get buried with sediment, and then it's such a rapid burial that there's not a lot of oxygen present, so the decay and the process of rotting is slowed down so that your tissues last longer. And then as they sit amongst the sediment, slowly your tissues are replaced with mineral replacements, leaving behind a cast or mold of your body. So like fossils are never, well, that's not true, but fossils that you're used to seeing, like bones and shells and things, are usually not the actual bone or shells. They're mineral replicas made through casting through mineralization and sediment. And then most things die, just rot away. So when we find fossils, it's exciting because it's a very rare thing, and it tells us a lot about organisms that used to be around. The trilobite left a lot of fossils, partially because they lived underwater, which is a great place to become fossilized. And they had hard shells. They were arthropods. They had hard exoskeletons. Much easier to fossilize something hard and stiff than something soft. You find more fossils of arthropods than you will of annelid worms. Let's just put it that way. So what? We're studying the change in life over time, and as you can see, life changes. The fossil record is awesome for showing that life has changed. It's different here now than it was in the past. And so you can infer, I would think, that in the future, things will be different than they are now. Like we're not at the end, the the pinnacle of life on Earth. We're in the middle of it, right? The sun is about halfway done, so the Earth is about halfway through its life. There's a lot more different kinds of things, animals and plants, and who knows what else to come. And that's what I think is cool to think about. All right, let's do the book talk.